we're scheduled to leave at noon today to go to Nashville for a vacation, so we're going to make it 1:30 instead. But, so
Thank you.
don't make me thank her.
I'll make sure I do.
Absolutely. So, I'm also the county treasurer. Most of you know me in that role. I'm also the chairman of the Union County CEO program, and this is a presentation I actually made to them last fall. I think it's also gone to the Union County Women in Business. And in short notice this time, I'm just recycling one, but it's a good message. I don't think everybody here has heard it. I do want to take a moment though and thank the chamber. I'm involved in a lot of groups, and I see a lot of things going on in our community and our county, and some things are really great, some things really frustrate me, and overall I'd like to have this momentum carry on, that we're doing great things and always trying to peak in Union County, keep peaking over and over and over again. And I really think that the chamber, they've shown me over the last several years that they're the most progressive group, I think, in Union County, along with, I think, the Women in Business. Always trying to think about new things. The movies in the park is a great idea. It was a new thing that came out, and so what's something new that you all can do to bring some value added to our community? I think that's something that's missing a lot. We almost expect people to fund us and support us because we exist. There has to be a value added to make it worthwhile for the people to join and be a participant in this. And what the result is that it ends up making our community better. So that's part of the presentation here today too. So thank you for what you guys do, and keep it up, and have me back hopefully. Maybe if I rest you or brown nose enough that you'll let me do this a few more times. Now, I really thought that I was going to have my Tony Stark Iron Man moment here in Raleigh with my tablet stuff. But if Raleigh's warned me once, he's warned me a dozen times about Microsoft updates and how you cannot use Microsoft technology if you're not flipped today. So we have to actually use the wire. And it breaks my heart. That was going to be cool. I'm a hip young guy, and we're just this way.
You still did me now.
So, I'm going to wipe that too. So, if you remember what the CEO group did this past year, they did, what was it? Hearing Our Hometown Heartbeat was inserted in the paper, and I thought it was dynamite. So thanks to Jerry. I think Jerry's out and about, but for helping partner with the CEO to make that happen. And I thought it just really turned out fantastically. It was wonderful. I think it told our story, which we don't do enough here. So to kind of go along with that, I tried to merge the old Women in Business, what am I thinking of? The Shop Locally First with this Hometown Heartbeat, put the two together and try to sell the story a little bit. So why shopping locally matters, I've amended the end of it a little bit. So why shopping locally matters is partially because of sales tax. Yay!
Okay.
So in Union County, sales tax is 7.5%. Sometimes you're going to go out to a restaurant and you may look at your receipt and you may see the percent. If it's not 7.5%, they're not doing it right. There was one in particular, our former county administrator, Kelly Carter, I used to go to lunch a lot, and there was one restaurant we'd go to a lot, and one time we finally noticed, hey, this isn't 7.5%. So we had to tell them, which I don't know that they love, but it was important to do anyway, I think. So 7.5% of every good in Union County is added on to your purchase price, and it's sales tax. But where does that 7.5% go? We're pretty used to that. I hope everybody in the back can see this. Raleigh, you've seen it before, so Carol, sorry. You're just kind of out of luck. Ask me. Where did my sales tax go? So 5% goes to the state of Illinois. Now, you may know that the state sales tax is 6.25%. So I racked my brain when I went back through this presentation. I couldn't remember, why does it say 5? And there's a reason. The reason is that 5% stays with the state of Illinois, 1% is collected by the state and sent back to the local municipality. Now this means wherever you purchase the product is where that money goes. So in this case, if you buy something at Walmart within the city limits of Anna gets the 1%.
Yay.
If you go to Dollar General in Dongola or in Cobden, they get the 1%. If you're not within a municipality or within a city or a village, and you're just out in the community, if you're trying to think of some markets maybe, and you go out and you buy something from the a lawnmower from them, that 1% comes to the Union County government. So wherever you purchase it, 1% comes back to that government, whatever it may be. There's a 0.25%, so a 1/4% that is collected by the state of Illinois. Again, these top two are collected by the state of Illinois, 6.25%. And that is given back to the county regardless of where it's purchased. So if you go back to Walmart and you get your City of Anna purchase, 1% goes to City of Anna and a 1/4% comes to the county no matter what. If it's outside the city limits, back at Martin's again, 1% comes to the county and 4% comes to the county. You get 1.25% of that. So there's a state sales tax and there's a supplemental sales tax. That's how that's the nomenclature that we use in the finance or in the treasury world. Now, the county of Union has put on two other taxes, or issued two other taxes, sales taxes. So the one is the 1%. You're sitting in a beautiful building that is, to me, this beacon of what Union County can do, right? That's paid for with a 1% sales tax. We're able to estimate that about 40% of that tax, so the 4% of what's going on to pay for this courthouse, is being paid for by people that live outside of Union County. So that's part of the advantage of going with the sales tax over a property tax, right? Is that people come and you're a shopping hub. So we're kind of having this message over and over and over again. Why do we have more business and better business in Union County? More people are coming to Union County to buy things. When they buy things in Union County, it funds our government. So we drive on better roads than maybe our neighbors do because we have more money coming in to our community. So that's something that we would definitely want to remember. So then we have, I do want to touch on this courthouse though. So working within this county government, I talked about this, probably should we say it a million times probably, that this building to me is a beacon of what we can do in Union County, right? So if you remember the old county courthouse, boy, it was great that we had this old antique courthouse. It would have been so cool if it was maintained, but it really had been bastardized by all the different additions, and things weren't kind of kept straight, and it was time for it to go. So we built this new courthouse, and I hope that the people that work within this building stand inside of it, and if you think about our people on top, and look outside at what we can be doing for our community, not looking inside about how we maintain status quo. I think we have a little bit too much of the latter, and we need to shift our focus back to the former. Our job here is to serve you, to serve our business community, to serve our children, to serve moms and dads and families, right? Above all else, I believe in the American family and the American individual. So that's what we need to do with that 1%. Lastly, the 1/4% is, this is the most recent one. This was an earlier tax they put on, and that goes to public safety. So the state allows counties to levy this tax. The idea being that public safety costs us a lot of money, and my gosh, if you guys were able to look through, that's a presentation I could do for you sometime, is how much money goes to our court system. So jailing people, we spend $50,000 a month to keep people incarcerated. We're going to spend $80,000 this year on medicines and medical services for people that are arrested. We have to pay $150,000 roughly to probation. That's not governed by us. We can't set that. That's set by the First Judicial Circuit. This is the money goes out. Then you got the state's attorney's office. You have your police department. Police department is a $1.2 million budget. The state's attorney is about $400,000. So a lot of your money going to keep people that are causing problems away from us. So this 1/4% helps offset that cost. That generates about $250,000 a year for us. If you couldn't add, there's your 7.5%. So how does that compare to other regional shopping hubs? So you go online, you can find this as really available information. It also proves here that you want to shop locally because you're probably going to save some money because we have lower taxes than other places. Cardinal just raised their taxes, so did Marion in the past year. Both of them, within the past 6 months, raised their taxes. And so it's 9.75% tax on everything you buy in Carbondale, 7.5% in Union County. 8.75% in Marion, 7.5% in Union County. And Cape Girardeau even is higher than what Union County is. Now, one difference is, in Illinois, I don't know how many of you know this or not, we pay double tax on our gasoline. That's why it's still cheaper to go to Cape Girardeau over having it here. Cape only charges a motor fuel tax. We charge a sales tax and a motor fuel tax. So you get double tax on all your gasoline purchases in Illinois. Lastly, if you want to go anywhere, I guess you should go to Paducah. Paducah has there's no Grafton County tax, there's no city of Paducah tax, it's only the 6% from the state of Kentucky. So that's how those compare. How much revenue does that generate? That should be a comma, it's not $3,000. So this is what that generates, that comes back to governments in Union County. So I took the 5% out that goes to the state and stays to the state. So the remainder of the 7.5, so that 2.5% that comes either to the county or to your city or whatever municipality, this is what that number is. So our sales tax generates about $3.16 million a year. That's coming to the city of Anna, that's coming to the village of Cobb, it's coming to Dongola. There's even like $300 a year that goes to Mill Creek. It only comes in like 1 or 2 months out of the year, so it's almost like they remember that they're supposed to pay that. Who knows? But roughly $3 billion comes to Union County from buying stuff. Isn't there more? Isn't more going on with just that? Absolutely. It's more important to shop locally than just to make sure that your taxes are coming in. That $3 million is vital to our government, but it's much, much, much more than that. It's about preserving our way of life. It's about having an appreciation for where you live and what you want us to have and making sure that we still have it. If you want to have a local pizza place where you can walk downtown on a Friday and grab a piece of pizza, you probably need to go to Jordo's or Max or wherever else that you want to go. Pizza Villa kind of is my jam, I'll be honest with you. But you go to wherever you want to go because you keep it open. Because if you don't go to Anthony's, if you don't go to Jordo's and buy a pizza from Anthony, Anthony's not going to be there next year. And now you have a community with no pizza place. If you want to make sure that our orchards stay open, you better go buy some peaches. You better not just get, I'm not anti-Walmart, I'm actually very much pro-Walmart, I'm pro all businesses that want to come down here. But if you want to make sure that you have the orchards, a place to go take your kids and go, you pick berries, or to go pick your, strawberry shortcake you just had. Oh my gosh. Or the peach slushie that I took my kids to go get this past weekend. You got to go to Flanders. You got to go to you got to shop at, use our local banks to borrow your money. You got to go buy your car locally. It supports all these things that we want to have. We complain perhaps about property tax or about sales taxes, but it goes also to fund places like your school districts. Property taxes in particular go to fund your school district. If you want to have a Dongle school district, you're going to have to pay your taxes. You're going to have to shop locally. You're going to have to keep more money into your economy so you have these things. Because if you, let's talk about Dongle, I guess, for a moment. We just talked about the Dollar General in Dongle, right? It's there and it's generating this tax. It's also theoretically a draw for people who are going to want to live there. Now, I don't know how many of you live in Dongola. If any of you live in Dongola, if there's no place to go buy anything, if there's no place to go eat, are you going to choose to live in Dongola versus living in Anna, versus living in Ellen, versus living in any other place that you could go get you something to eat? For people that want to come and work at the hospital, are they going to want to go to a place where they can't even get a pizza, where there's no local bank? No. So if you want to have a healthy community, if you want our communities to exist beyond this year, beyond 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years from now, you're going to have to frequent or be patrons of the businesses that exist. I'm part of the Hair Veterinary Clinic.
Nice plug, by the way.
She's my dog.
Outstanding. I'll tell you what, actually, great story about Hair Veterinary Clinic. You think we're just a little, they're just a little small bumpkin town veterinary clinic. They have a $1 million MRI and an ultrasound. They're doing stuff that nobody in the region does. And when I say region, I mean the closest MRI is University of Illinois, St. Louis, and Nashville. Or Memphis, one of the two.
Roxy was just down at the Lowell Animal Clinic, and they said that's where they're sending all their hip and knee replacement and type stuff is to Charlie Hair in Illinois.
They're the doctor's doctors. So yes, it's a plug, but it really is true. It's part of that story, that hometown heartbeat. Here in Hometown Heartbeat, we didn't know about these things, right? We don't always know that we have these really great places doing these great things. You didn't know you could get appliances and associated lumber, right? That's one of the things that came out in Hometown Heartbeat. But you have to frequent these places, or else they just don't exist. And if the businesses don't exist, and if the schools don't exist, you don't really exist.
That's right.
So this is going to shift from sales tax to kind of property taxes. Now I'm going to consider a hypothetical situation. So if we frequent our businesses and if we expand our businesses, maybe we don't have 6 or 7 or 8 pizza places. We may have that many, I'm not exactly sure. Let's say we have 20 pizza places, whatever. But things that are drawing people in. We have new companies opening up. We have white-collar jobs opening up. And we were able to create and add just 10 $200,000 homes each year for the next 5 years. Greg, George, would you guys like to support people building 10 $200,000 homes in Union County?
That would be great.
Is 10 that many? Not really, right? If 10 people want to move to our community, or already live in our community, but want to build a new $200,000 house because somebody wants to buy their $150,000 house, just 10, what would that do for us? Well, the annual property taxes on a $200,000 home in Union County are roughly $5,000. It depends on where you live, and it's about $5,100. So the average across the board is about $5,000. I said $5,000. So 10 new $200,000 homes would generate $50,000 in property tax revenues. Now I'm going to pause. I've thought more and more about this part of my presentation, and it's not wrong, but isn't 100% right either, because there's two sides of it. So it could generate more property tax revenues. It also could reduce your individual burden of property taxes. So it depends on what your taxing districts do. If they continue to max out their taxes every year, then this is how much we're going to be able to generate. If they keep taxes lower than their max, then what it's going to do is lower your individual burden. The only way to lower your property taxes, unless the state comes through and says it's going to be lowered, which they can't exactly lower it, but freeze it, is by expanding your base, right? So every tax is a base times a rate generates a tax. If you want a lower rate, you have to have a bigger base. Okay, so the county's limited how much they can increase their taxes every year, so are the school districts, everybody's limited. But they're probably going to max out it every year, so the only way to really lower that is to increase your base, which means building your $200,000 homes, or $200,000 homes, having a business come in that pays property taxes. That's why it's so important to do. So, again, this isn't wrong. It just depends. It could change if your governments decide to keep your taxes where they kind of are, their total take. But actually what it would do is offset what you pay and it lowers everyday taxes. If they don't, this is what they would be paying. In year one, just those 10 new homes would pay $50,000 in taxes. Here's the breakdown. So of the Union County government, they're going to get roughly 20%. If you ever look at your where my property taxes go, which we're going to get to if you haven't seen it, which is fantastic. And who made that? That's wonderful. 20% of your taxes go to the county government. 5,000 go to Shawnee College, 14 to Anna District 37, 13 to AJ, about 6 to City of Anna, and $1,100 to Stinson Library. Again, that's of those 10 $200,000 homes, just the new ones, not everybody else, just the new ones paying Union County in year one. In year two, it's $105,000. Why? Well, we got the 10 from this year, and then we get the 10 from the next year, right? So now we have 20 new homes at $200,000, and we estimate an increase of about 5%. Each year your taxes go up. When you real estate agents do that, right, Debbie? When you want to close, you estimate that next year's tax is going to be 5% more. I don't know if they're going to be or not. You got to ask Bobby that. But we're saying it's going to be 105%. In year three, we have 10, 20, 30 new homes, and so on and so forth. So you can see that just after 5 years, just those 10 new homes per year we're adding at $855,000 of new tax revenue to your governments. Now, we can all argue whether or not we want to pay that much to the government. I personally am very much a low tax person, which is why I think I'm a perfect person to help manage budgets, because I don't want the revenue. I think we need to be more efficient with what we have. That said, what would Union County government be able to do with $168,000 over the 5-year period? Would it be a new bridge? Would it be a new road? Would it be squad cars? Would it be increasing the number of deputies to make sure we have safe communities? Whatever it may be. What would it mean to AJ High School or to Anna District 37 have about $250,000 in new revenue? That's over a 5-year period, but still. What would it do? Again, we don't necessarily want to pay taxes, but unless you're an anarchist, you have to believe that we pay taxes for a reason, that it improves our communities overall to have this money going into the government and then providing a service. Sometimes I border on that anarchy line, but I'm not there yet. So I still believe there's a reason to pay this tax, and we just have to then hold our government accountable for the money we give them to make sure they're providing that return on investment. Are the schools as good as they need to be? Are the roads where they need to be? Are the bridges where they need to be? Or do we have a safe community? Do you feel safe at night? These are the questions you have to ask when you're paying your tax bill. I wonder if I want to do this one or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. It gets pretty fun and crazy. So this is what would happen if we expand. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. It's small. I don't know if I can make it bigger or not. Tony Stark Iron Man moment. Zoom in. And then of course I can't go left or right, but this is how this would work if we expanded it beyond the 10 years. Right? So by year 20, just those 10 homes, adding those 10 new homes every year. If we did 10 new homes for 30 years, I guess, that would add up over those 30 years to $16 million. 30 years is not really that long. I'm 32, so it seems long, but over the course of your 30-year home loan, right, a 30-year home loan for the people that started year one, by the time that they paid off their mortgage and we keep adding 10 per year, we've generated $16 million more revenue for our governments. Again, we want to hold them accountable for what they do with that money, but you can see the power of stacking those up, right? So, It's kind of like people, when you're investing your money, the power of the power of money, time value of money. Where am I at? So, no, it's not just about taxes. It's about maintaining and improving our standard of life, for preserving what we have today and getting what we want for tomorrow. I know I've had conversations with many of you individuals about the vision of what we want Union County to be. And it's not always just about what Union County is today or what we thought it was 10 years ago or what we hope it's going to be in 6 months, but it's a vision of what we want it to be in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. We have our bicentennial coming up next year, right? So what do we want our community to be like at its bicentennial, 200 years? We want it to be at 225 years. It could be radically different than this, or we can maintain all the same values that we have right now and just enhance them and make them even better than they've ever been. So paying the taxes is going to be part of that. I'm going to jump forward. I normally take questions or ask stuff now, but I'm going to show you where our taxes go part. That's a new one. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. It's small, and my zooming wasn't working. So you should have gotten this in your tax bill. You should have seen it on the county website and on our social media pages. This gets produced every year. We started this my first year in office. And what it does is there's 2 different versions of this. There's a pie chart and there's a bar graph. So these obviously are the pie charts. And each of these pie graphs represent a different school district or sector, if you will, of Union County. And I know they're tiny. Look at the one in your tax bill. Or go online and look at them. What this does, each wedge of this pie represents a portion of your tax bill. So the whole pie is everything you paid. For Chris, it's the whole $100,000 he paid. Or did it just feel like the $100,000? You don't know yet. You left the checks in your car. You told me that.
I'll give it to you.
Tell me how it feels when you're done. But
Yeah, I know how it's going to feel.
I know how it's going to feel. So the different wedges make up a different portion. I'm trying to color code them. So you see the school districts are all purple. So the bigger the wedge of purple, the more that school district is driving your tax dollar. So for each dollar, 55 cents, if you live within the village of Cobden, is going to Dongola School District. In the city of Anna, 26% goes to AJ High School and 30% goes to Anna District 37. That's the teal. So places like Anna, Jonesboro that have a grade school and high school, it's split between the kind of turquoise and the purple. Places like Dongola and Cobden, they have unit schools, and Shawnee over there. So of course that purple makes up a much, much larger piece of that pie. You will see that the county government makes up between, I think, 13 to 20%. It's usually about 18 to 20% of your tax bill. About 10% for everybody goes to the Shawnee Community College. And let's see, maybe 10 to 15% goes to your local city or village. So the idea behind this is that boy, I'm really angry paying this much in taxes. Don't go to Bobby. I just said go to Bobby, but don't go to Bobby. It's only 20% of your taxes. Right? So if there's a large increase, first check your assessment. If your assessment is where you think it needs to be, and it isn't for anybody ever, then go look through and look at who's driving this. So it's largely going to be your school districts. They just drive so much of your tax bill. This is probably my favorite one that we make though. So this allows you to compare what you pay versus somebody in a different town, village, sector, if you will. And what we do across the top is we have these little houses, and inside the houses is an approximate tax bill for a $100,000 home. We use that because if you live in a $200,000 home, you just multiply it by 2. If you live in a $150,000 home, add half of it back into it. But what this does is you're able to compare and look and see, well, somebody over in Shawnee District pays this, and I'm living in Cobden, and I'm paying this. So obviously what everybody wants to look at first, and why wouldn't you, is who pays the highest. If you live in the village of Dongola, you're paying the highest. On a $100,000 home, you're paying just under $3,000 a year to live in the village of Dongola. A couple of years ago, they were over 9% tax rate. Right now, it's about 8.5%. They were over 9, and they were paying over $3,000. They had some bonds expire at the school district. Of course, they have more new ones now, but they had some expire, and so it's dropped it down. The lowest it has been for years now is rural Cobden. For that same $100,000 valued house in Dongola, where you're paying $2,867, you pay under $2,000, $1,953 to live in rural Cobden. And so on and so forth. Most of us are going to live in the city of Anna. That's about $2,500, so kind of splits the middle between the two. Jonesboro, if you live in the city, is $2,600. And you can see the difference between living in the city of Anna and living outside the city of Anna. So if you live in the city limits, you're gonna pay $25.51. If you pay outside the city limits, $22.52. So if you live in a $100,000 home, is it worth the 300 extra bucks you pay in property tax to live inside the city limits of Anna? I can't answer that question, but you guys can answer that question. The number one question is, did they have fireworks?
Yeah, they found a way.
Check.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, but what other things are they providing in the city limits of Anna? Is it worth it? Because everything else is the same. Ask the question, if living in Cobden and having the lowest tax bill possible is the most important thing, then go live in rural Cobden. You can pay $19.53 in a $100,000 house. But if you want a few more services, you think it's worth it, you move inside the city limits or village limits of Cobden, it's going to add about $200 to your tax bill. I think this is really powerful information to know, to take back to your everyday life, right? So what I said, we did an interview with WSIU about this recently. And the idea is that this enhances and expands voter participation, citizen engagement, citizen participation. So you have the power of information behind your decisions in everyday life. And you feel the pain of that payment right now in the summer when you want to go on vacation or you're getting the kids ready for school and you're going to have to pay these taxes and it really sucks. But you know what? It's still supposed to suck in winter, in January, and it's still supposed to suck in March. You're so far removed from it, you don't feel the pain of the property taxes anymore. It still sucks to pay property taxes in the summer. And when the springtime comes along and you're driving trying to miss that pothole, man, in this $100,000 home, I just paid $3,000 to not have that pothole in Donville. Why do I have it? If you're in Cobden, maybe you're thinking, man, I'd love to send my kids to Cobden School. Cobden's a great school district. And I'm willing to pay $2,000 a year to live in Cobden and send my kids to this great school. That's a pretty good deal. So it doesn't have to be bad, it can be good. And it's never fun to pay the tax, but are you getting a commensurate amount of services and goods, not really good, but services from your government for the tax that you're paying? That's a decision that everybody has to make on their own. But I think this kind of information is what helps you make that decision. And if you determine that it is, maybe write a letter of thanks to people who are doing that work for you. If it's not, then you need to come and raise a little hell. It's not good enough. And we all pay a lot of money to have these services. So that's what I have prepared for today, but I'm more than happy to answer your questions, drop on anything.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Make it so it's easy to understand. So,
Well, you have to understand it first, though, to teach you somebody else. I think that's problem number one. All right, nothing else. I'll let you guys finish your meeting.
Talking up when you're out of town, Carbondale and stuff for people to come here and purchase things because our taxes are less in Union County. You know, so I always tell them that, you know, right down here. Which we, at the lumberyard, kids, like, David Gerardo was buying the property here in Union County.